Hello and welcome back to the channel. For today's video, we are on Scrap Mechanic. It's a good thing I don't try and do anything with spelling. And as you can see, we are in frame drop heaven. That means that we're running at 17 FPS. We have hit the limit of what this game can handle. And I mean the game because it's not my computer, again. But I decided to bring in my entire little fleet here. It may not seem like much. There's probably people out there that have tens of thousands of builds, but I started playing this game 3 days ago with a little bit of time each day. And I seem to have a problem. I am an overcomplicator of things. Let me show you. Let's start with this train car here. This train car, yeah, I originally just wanted a little cart to send around because I was having issues putting the track tiles down and they weren't aligning properly. So I wanted to be able to zip around real quick and make sure all the tiles aligned, which turned into a challenge of, can I build a cart that can go stupid fast? It's not stupid fast. It's one tick from max on all 4 engines and it'll take the corners like that. So that took more time than intended. Or this thing is ridiculous. So of course, buttons for all the doors. Let's see. Dump bed. Oops. Lights. Tailgate. I couldn't figure out how I wanted to build. I needed to be able to get in the bed, so I have the tailgate doing automatic things so I can climb up in here. Sides down. The sides down one was literally because I had 9 out of 10 controls filled, and I figured, what the hell? Originally it had individual suspension all the way around, but it was frame laggy on its own. So again, something that I intended to just be a simple gator thing, and it turned into this. So I downloaded the Lord Payne's mod, lots of mods. I don't want to use them for the builds other than my little creative builds. I don't want to use them for any kind of challenge builds, but this was starting off as how could I use his assembly to build a diesel engine, and it turned into, okay, can I make a compound twin turbo version of a 6BT or the Cummins 12 valve? And I ended up with this, which I think is fairly right. I couldn't figure out anything to do for like the injection pump or the peanut cover or anything like that. So the actual timing housing, but we got a little alternator down there that's on the wrong side of the engine spinning, and then an AC. No, I had to remove that for other reasons. So now I was like, okay, well, I just need a simple pickup truck to throw this in, because then it'll be cool. It'll be a diesel powered pickup. Yeah, so this is my Roadster pickup start here, which again, we're out of frames. We got a solid rear axle and an individual front suspension. And as you can see, the suspension kind of sort of works. It's more or less track. I had to put this little hump in here, which of course throws my camber off when it droops. But the hump is purely to clear the turbo assembly. And then for some stupid reason, I spent all my time making that hood system. Again, frame rate is horrible, I know. Because I wanted a realistic hood that would come up just forward just a little bit as it opens. Most hoods actually do that. Even a simple hood hinge opening turned into this crazy contraption. Because I couldn't just be bothered to just put a bearing back here and a ram in the front and call it good. In actuality, the issue is that this was all the room I had to work with, again, to clear the turbo assembly. Oh, and then I wanted to create a simple piston engine, and I wanted it to be modular. I'm all about modular. I love having things saved on my lift that are modular to where I can go, hey, I need an IFS system. Here's an IFS system completely vanilla. And I have this saved in my lift. This one doesn't have the bearings here, so it's for the rear axle. So I can just spawn it in and plop it on something. Over here I have a more compact version, which uses one of the modded reversible shock to give the suspension droop. So now that we have an actual compact IFS system on a whole vehicle, actually works pretty well. I know I watched one guy who did a video on it, and he was using telescopic rams here to account for the fact that the wheels come in a bit when the suspension droops, which I guess for artistic purposes, sure. If you were going for realism, No, that's actually just a part of the geometry you have to figure out when you design a vehicle, is that at ride height, the wheels are at the right spacing, and during desired suspension travel, the wheels remain at the right spacing to keep the vehicle stable. It's one of the reasons things like Outlaw class or Unlimited class trophy trucks have such long radius arms in the front where they pretty much meet in the middle. And that is so that the radius is nice and long, so as the suspension droops, the wheel maintains a wide stance, giving it stability. Then my son said, hey, how about a simple monster truck? Yeah. So I decided to make a simple monster truck that has incredible shock issues. I haven't even begun to try and figure out what's going on here. Then there's the drag racer, mud drag racer thing. I don't know. That's all I got for you. It's supposed to be a mud dragster. The front suspension doesn't work. I actually have another model on this where I started adding thrusters, and I've completely negated the front suspension because it just gets in the way of stability. And then, okay, finally, I think we have the piston engines. So this one's a 3-cylinder with a 135 degree TDC difference, reversible. Okay, so this one I'm running basically 2 banks of 3. Each bank of 3 is 120 degrees TDC difference, and then each bank is 180 degrees off of each other. So when I'm not getting huge frame drop from having all the creations in, this thing actually runs very, very smooth. And 2 cylinders are firing at any given point in time, so theoretically, it has twice as much power as the other one, which is the intended purpose of having more cylinders. That's the playground. Now it's time to build something entirely different. Everything here has wheels. Everything is designed to be kind of like a car or train. I think I need to try my hand at something not traditional. I think I need to build a walker. Alright, so I'm back on a normal map now, and I did that so I could get all my frames back, and I need to clean up my inventory. This is from building the dirt dragster. Long and the short of it, what I think I'm going to do is for the legs, I'm going to make a little wooden thing with the propeller that goes down the beach. Reason being is the leg assembly is actually quite simple. There's one pivot point, one crank point, and everything else just has to do with the ratios between the joints. So theoretically, with a WASD converter, which I've never built but only heard of, and a couple motorized bearings, I should be able to create a 2-pack where one leg is always in contact to the ground and build it as a module I can save on my lift, and then bring in 4 of them, stick them to the 4 corners of the vehicle, and have a tank steering running thing. That's the theory. In practice, we will find out. So, time to build. After I look up a picture, because I can't remember all the linkages in my head. I know there's one that goes up and over, across its back, so the leg doesn't... Alrighty, so I think I have my leg figured out. So I ended up having to add a bearing here just to offset this angle. In all reality, with a fine amount of degree, what this bearing is going to adjust is 2 things. One, basically how close these 2 pipes get to each other as it cycles. Right there, that distance there. Without that bearing, with that bearing set to 0, you can see they're actually making contact, so we need a little bit off. But in reality, by changing that angle, we're actually changing the plane that this is supposed to work on. So if you look at the angle at which it makes contact with the ground, it's kind of going up. And if I put that bearing back to 0, you can see now that it's across the flat ground. That leg can get scooting pretty quick. And that will hopefully result in, I don't know, let's see. So that should be making contact. I mean, it's when it makes contact, it's going. I think the next step is to build a second one and have them linked together to where they're 180 degrees off from each other. I don't know how well that's gonna work. I'm gonna probably have to do the whole crankshaft method of having a bearing actually set to 180 degrees. I'll probably put it either in here but on the reverse side or something. I'll figure something out. Something will work. I wonder how many times someone's gonna try and sell me warranty on a vehicle that the warranty's been expired for like a decade. Anyways, I think we've done pretty good here. It's a walker. I can just hook the thing to there and then do the thing, and then now I can do the thing from here. So even though I do have a lot of mods installed, I'm trying to make this one vanilla. There we go. On wheels it seems to work better. Is that actually I think it's going all right. Mirroring, duplicating. Now we should be able to make a platform, and then I actually just have to teach myself the whole WASD converter thing because I've never made one of those before. And then we should have a 8-legged but 4-cornered walking thing. we have a quadruped. Or an octoped? I guess this would be an octoped. I was kind of considering each pair as a single leg assembly since it was kind of needed, but 60 FPS and down to a glorious 14. But it is walking, and right now I just have a switch hooked to each set of legs. The chassis might be a wee bit on the long side for it to turn. Or I need to figure out a way to either... Oh, I need to increase the stride for one. So what I may end up doing is I may end up actually lengthening the legs a little bit to see if that helps at all. But once it gets in stride, you can actually see it's moving pretty good. But it could move faster, and I still need to make a WASD converter. So, back in a jiffy. That was, so these WASD converters, I'd never made one before. I heard of them. I had kind of an idea, like I think I've seen Khan do one or two where I may have actually paid attention to what he was doing. So I think I got it right. It seems to work. It would probably be easier to test if this thing, well, had actual rotational wheels versus wheel feet. That being said, it is a frame monster. Not that it's a monster made of framework, but it just, frames are not a thing. So I'm sure there's easier ways to make this. I actually don't know. How would you make this to where it doesn't lag out frames? So here we are at a perfectly flat ground. Okay. There we go. We're starting to get into the stride of things. It doesn't work great. It's going to require lots of fine tuning, and I would need some frames first. But here, let's see if it'll turn. Well, kind of, sort of. Not great, is it? But it was still an experiment to be tried and to see what you can do. And oh, now all of a sudden backwards works great. Did I build the legs backwards? Oh my god, I did. It didn't even click in my head until just now. I built the legs backwards. All right, so there we go. Now we got it. We just flip the seat around. And actually, that does make a huge difference. All right, there you have it. Added it to the world, add to the lag, I suppose. And I guess that'll be it for this one. I'll probably do some fine tuning off camera to see if I can't get it to work a bit better, but I'll probably have to do a simplified version so I can have some remnant of frames. That's it for this one. I don't actually know what my next project is. That one was not even on the list, so I'll be hopefully doing another one. Which game? I don't know. Either Trailmakers or Gamecraft for the next one. But as always, buttons to push. Till next time.